This is lesson 12. I'm going to talk a little bit about sight. This is a bit disconnected from modeling, but I'm using an extension called Solar North that allows us to set true north in the model irrespective of the way the model is oriented. I built this house in an organic farm as an addition to an organic farmhouse in Litchfield, New Hampshire. If I were to go to Window, Model Info, and since the model is not geo-located, SketchUp allows you to actually, it interacts with Google Earth. I typed this in ahead of time. This is the main farmhouse, built in 1860. It was an old meeting house. We picked it up 6 feet into the air, built a foundation around it, and put it back down. The town was really pleased about that because they were really upset when we proposed to tear it down and build a passive house. So this house, smaller structure that you see attached is essentially the footprint of this two-story model. The model is abbreviated for purposes of this lesson, but for all intents and purposes, the model is at an angle to north according to this location. SketchUp allows you to select part of the region and grab that, imports it into the model. This is pretty extraordinary stuff. Let's look at top view. So it imports terrain in addition to a snapshot of the site. Let's switch face style to X-ray. So, and of course it's to scale. So, if I were to take the site data, which is locked in place by default, red means it's locked, you can see that north is, let's draw a line and see. We'll draw a couple of lines and measure diagonal. So, if I were to draw an arc, about 38 degrees from north, right? Okay, so that means, let's remove these lines. And I'm going to invoke the Solar North tool, which allows me to set north. Brings it brings this north arrow into the model. Click once to place it, and you point it in the direction of north. And I can type the angle. Notice in the indicator box, it says 38.8. Well, alright, it's not going to let me. Again, 39 is going to be, there's 38.8. Click. But what that means is that now the SketchUp model knows that the sun at 12 noon is coming from the south with respect to this model at an angle of 38.8, right? Because due south it would be perfectly 12 noon. So if I set my shadow and change the time to 12 p.m., notice we are getting the exact angle of the orientation of the the actual building on the site. So a longer discussion of exactly what's involved here is probably in order. We could spend an entire class talking about true north, but what's important here is that once I've set the angle, and if I set the time to 12 noon, it knows the sun is coming from that direction. The picture here is arbitrary because that's just the sun whenever the Google Earth took that picture. Take your time with this and try to understand it. Daylighting, sunlight, true north is highly important in today's interior architecture environments, because you are going to make use of daylight. To make use of daylighting, you have to understand the source of natural light and how it changes during the day, over the course of the day. 7 minutes is long enough for that.